Right before takeoff, a woman holding a toddler tried to shove her way into the seat I had purchased for my service dog. She looked me dead in the eye and screamed that I was a monster for choosing a dog over a baby. Minutes later, that same woman was dragged kicking and screaming off the plane while the entire cabin cheered. That's how fast entitlement can crash and burn. I remember boarding that flight like it was yesterday. The air smelled faintly of citrus cleaner, the kind of sterile calm that always made me tense. My golden retriever Buck settled by my side, his vest clearly marked service dog. I had paid extra for that seat beside me, making sure Buck had the space to do his job, because when my anxiety spirals, he's the anchor that keeps me grounded. At 38, I've learned survival often depends on preparation, and that's why I wasn't about to let anyone take that seat away from him. For a moment, everything seemed normal. People were stowing bags, calling out for attendants, buckling their belts. I thought maybe this time I'll get through a flight without incident. Then I heard her voice, sharp, demanding, filled with the kind of authority only entitlement can breed. Perfect. Finally, some space. I looked up, and there she was. A woman in her 40s, blonde hair, sprayed stiff, squeezing down the aisle like she owned the place. She wore a pink sleeveless dress that looked more suited for a cocktail party than a cramped flight. In her arms, a little girl, maybe 2 years old, fussy and red-cheeked. Her eyes landed on the empty seat next to Buck, and my stomach dropped. Trouble had just walked on board. Without hesitation, she announced, "I'll put my baby here." Finally, some room to breathe. My pulse tightened. "Excuse me, ma'am," I said, keeping my tone even. "That seat's taken. I purchased it for my service dog." Her head whipped toward me, eyes wide in disbelief. "You bought a seat? For a dog?" She leaned in, daring me to contradict her. "Absolutely not. That's ridiculous. You expect me to hold my baby the entire flight when there's a perfectly good seat sitting empty?" Buck stirred, sensing my tension, but stayed calm. I rested a hand on his head. "It's not empty. It's his seat. He's working." She laughed a harsh scoff that made heads turn. "Working? He's a dog. My daughter is a human child. Surely you can see who deserves the seat more." Without waiting for my answer, she tried sliding her daughter onto the cushion, tugging at the belt like speed would make it hers. I blocked her hand, firm but polite. "Ma'am, I paid for this seat. FAA allows service animals their own seat when purchased. If you wanted one for your daughter, you should have bought it at booking." That hit a nerve. Her face flushed, red lips curling into a snarl. "You're seriously telling me you care more about a mutt than a child? What kind of monster are you?" The insult hung heavy in the air. A man across the aisle shook his head. Another passenger whispered. Phones appeared subtle at first, then more obvious. People were recording. I breathed slowly, trying to calm myself. "This isn't about choosing between them," I said. "It's about responsibility. You didn't buy a seat." "I did." She threw up her hand so hard she nearly hit the overhead bin. "Responsibility. I'm a mother. Do you even know how hard it is traveling with a child? This airline should be ashamed of letting you waste a seat like this." Her toddler whimpered, pressing into her chest. Attendants glanced our way, trapped helping other passengers. The aisle buzzed with murmurs. I lowered my voice. "Please don't make this harder. This seat isn't yours." Her sneer cut deep. "Dogs don't need seats. He can sit on the floor. My baby deserves safety." Every eye was on us now, the air thick with judgment. Was I really going to let a child suffer for the sake of a dog? My chest burned with the unfairness of it. She wasn't asking for kindness, she was demanding theft, dressed up as virtue. Buck pressed his head into my palm, grounding me. But even I knew this wasn't ending with words. She strapped her daughter in, glaring at me with triumph. "If you don't move," she hissed, "I'll make you move." Gasps rippled through the cabin. Some passengers leaned in, hungry for spectacle. My heart pounded. She had crossed from entitled to dangerous. I raised my hand to a flight attendant. "I need the captain." The attendant nodded and slipped away. Lauren, because that's what she eventually called herself, smirked like she'd already won. She had no idea she'd just invited the one person on board who could end her game instantly. But before the captain arrived, she kept going. Her voice rose shrill and theatrical. Unbelievable. He's robbing a child of safety so his animal can lounge like royalty. She turned to the nearest passengers. Do you hear this? A grown man choosing a dog over a baby. This is the world we live in. She waited for support, but instead passengers shifted uncomfortably. A young guy 2 rows back spoke up. Lady, you didn't buy the seat. End of story. Another added, don't punish him for your mistake. Lauren's face twisted. Stay out of this, she screeched. Her eyes flicked with desperation. She tried again, softening her voice, tears forming. Please, I'm just a mother trying to protect my child. He doesn't understand how terrifying it is to fly with a baby. She stroked her daughter's hair, swaying theatrically. What kind of world do we live in when a dog matters more than a child? It was an act. Some passengers looked uneasy, but most weren't buying it. Sympathy was slipping away. And in that moment, I felt my resolve waver. My mind whispered, maybe you should just let her have it. Maybe you are being too rigid. Everyone's watching. What if they think you're heartless? For a second, I wanted to give in. Just let her win. Let the storm pass, sacrifice what I'd prepared for. But then Buck nudged my leg, steady as always, reminding me why I was here. This wasn't about ego. It was about principle. If I gave in, I'd be teaching everyone watching that bullying works, that entitlement wins. I sat up straighter. No one said your child doesn't matter, I told her. But fairness matters. You can't make your poor planning my responsibility. Her tears dried instantly. She hissed, if you don't let me use this seat, I'll make sure you regret it. That was it. The flight attendant's smile cracked. Ma'am, you cannot threaten other passengers. If you don't cooperate, we'll have to involve the captain. Lauren barked a laugh. Fine. Bring him. I'd love to see what he has to say. She planted herself in the aisle like a barricade. Phones tilted higher, the cabin buzzing with whispers. Then came the shift. A ripple through the front rows. Heads turned, voices hushed. The captain appeared tall and commanding in his crisp uniform. His polished shoes clicked against the floor as he approached. Conversations died. Every phone was pointed forward. What's the situation here? His voice was calm, but the steel underneath silenced everyone. I half rose. Captain, I purchased this seat for my service dog. She's trying to take it for her child despite not buying a ticket. Lauren jumped in shrieking. That's not true. I'm a mother, and this man is putting his dog above my baby. She needs safety, not his mutt wasting space. The captain's eyes didn't flicker. Ma'am, did you purchase a ticket for your daughter? She hesitated, lips tight. She's under 2. She flies free on my lap. But that doesn't mean she shouldn't have a seat if one's available. His jaw hardened. Seats are available to those who pay for them. This gentleman did. You did not. Her face went crimson. So you're siding with him. With a dog. What happened to compassion? The captain didn't blink. I'm the kind of captain who enforces fairness. And right now you're occupying a seat that isn't yours. That's theft. The word hit like a slap. Gasps echoed. Phones inched closer. Lauren broke into sobs. Please don't make me hold her the whole flight. It's cruel. Just let us sit here. Who will it hurt? The captain's voice sharpened. What hurts is letting one passenger trample the rights of another. This is your final warning. Return to your assigned place or you'll be removed from the aircraft. Her sobs vanished. She jutted her chin. You wouldn't dare throw a mother and child off this plane. That would be a PR disaster. The captain's eyes swept the sea of recording phones. Ma'am, the world is already watching. For the first time, doubt flickered across her face. Still, she clung to pride. I'm not moving. Let them watch. The cabin froze. The captain pressed his radio. Gate security. Cabin 1. Removal required. Chaos erupted. 2 uniformed officers boarded within minutes, heavy steps echoing. Lauren shrieked, clinging to armrests, her daughter crying in confusion. This is abuse. You can't do this to me. Passengers booed. Pay for your seat, someone yelled. Another voice. Get off already. The crowd turned, tribunal justice unfolding live. Phones flashed, immortalizing her downfall. The officers pried her fingers free. She kicked, screamed, mascara streaking down her face. Her toddler wailed. She was dragged down the aisle past rows of unsympathetic faces. One passenger called out, "Bye, Karen." Laughter followed, cruel and final. The captain stood tall, adjusting his cap. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the delay. We'll be departing shortly." Applause broke out, claps scattering like the release of tension. I sank back into my seat chest, loosening for the first time in what felt like hours. Buck pressed against my leg, steady as ever. I whispered, "Good boy, we made it." The engines roared, the plane finally lifting off. Around me, passengers whispered approval. "Glad you stood your ground," someone said. But inside I was replaying it all, the entitlement, the manipulation, the way she weaponized her child as leverage. It wasn't about safety, it was about control. And she had lost it spectacularly. That night my phone buzzed with notifications. A video was already viral. Karen tries to steal service dog seat, gets kicked off flight. Millions of views, thousands of comments. The verdict was unanimous. As the plane climbed higher, Buck resting his head against my knee, I thought of the irony. If she had just bought a seat for her daughter, none of it would have happened. But arrogance has a price, and she paid it. Entitlement doesn't fly.